Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi washabihi ajmain. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Our honorable speaker, CHM Dr. Abdullah Al-Hadi Ahmad Fuaad, the director of the Digital Learning Center, Universiti Malaya, and my respected fellow colleagues, professor, associate professor, doctor, brothers and sisters. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. To get more barakah, let us begin our event today with the recitation of Kitab Al-Fatihah. Amin. Ahlan wa sahlan. Welcome to the training entitled Mastering Digital Assessment Tools, Automating and Innovating Evaluation. I am Dr. Wirawani, the Deputy Director for E-Learning and Microcredential, CPD, and the MC for today's event. We at CPD wish to thank all participants for your interest and support. So it is a great pleasure to introduce our distinguished speaker today, CHM Dr. Abdullah Al-Hadi bin Ahmad Fuaad, who is currently serving as the Director of the Digital Learning Center at Universiti Malaya. Dr. Hadi is a chartered chemist holding the professional title CHM, awarded by Institute Kimia Malaysia, and he is also a senior lecturer at the Department of Chemistry, Faculty of Science, Universiti Malaya. He is widely recognized as an academic leader in digital learning and AI-based teaching innovation with a strong focus on enhancing educational experiences through technology and mentorship. At the national level, Dr. Hadi is an elected member of the Council of Coordinating Leader of E-Learning, MEPTA, where he plays a crucial role in developing national e-learning strategies, including the creation of AI policy frameworks for the Malaysia's higher education institution. Under his leadership, Universiti Malaya has successfully launched 52 micro-credential courses, banyak tu, and 6 open and distant learning programs, generating nearly 200,000 ringgit Malaysia in project funds for digital innovation. His current research project includes the AI-driven personalized learning assistance, the AI chatbot for pre-enrollment support, and the AI student engagement dataset for Universiti Malaya's online learning ecosystem. He is also leading a funded project to develop an ethical training module for young dentists navigating social media and advertising, valued at 277,000 ringgit Malaysian. Dr. Hadi also secured over 1 million ringgit Malaysia in grants as principal investigator and another 3.5 million ringgit Malaysia as co-investigator, and currently supervise 7 PhD students and 2 master candidates. In recognition of his impactful contribution, he received the University of Malaya Excellence Award 2023 for excellent teaching in science and was a Leader grant recipient in 2021 for his project on student engagement and soft skill development. Above all, Dr. Hadi is passionate about merging academic rigor with technological innovation, ensuring the learning remains relevant, engaging, and future ready. So we know that our speaker today is very knowledgeable. Inshallah, we can learn a lot from Dr. Al-Hadi today, inshallah. So some housekeeping announcement, yeah. Please keep your microphone muted throughout the session. Question can be posted in the chat box, or you may raise your hand to ask verbally. Dr. Hadi, do you prefer between your session, or do you prefer at the end of the session to have the questions?
You can stop me anytime. That's fine.
Okay. Inshallah. Thank you, Doctor. The I-attend link for attendance will be shared after 10:30 a.m. Please kindly complete the evaluation form within 24 hours. CTD points will be awarded to those who fulfill the attendance evaluation. So brothers and sisters, please join me in welcoming CHM Dr. Abdullah Al-Hadi Ahmad Fuaad. Welcome, Dr. Ahlan wa sahlan.
Terima kasih. Thank you, Dr.
Okay.
Wirawani, for the long introduction. There are a few inaccuracies lah dekat dalam tu sikit.
Oh, yeah.
Ada a bit lah, like for
Oh,
example the
mm,
digital on social media advertising. I'm not the PI. I'm the co-PI, helping on the
okay.
education component of the grant lah. But
Oh,
otherwise, everything else is okay. Itu je lah satu the ones that I noticed. But that's
thank
fine.
you, Dr.
So Assalamualaikum and very good morning, everyone.
Assalamualaikum.
We'll just share my screen first. Okay. Hopefully you don't see anything extra that might disturb our session. Okay. So thank you again for having me in this morning. So basically, the title that we've discussed is on mastering digital assessment tools. Okay, but I would like to highlight over here, to be a master is, especially in digital area, is very very difficult. And therefore, because I'm not sure what's the background, I'm not sure who's attending, so I tuned down a little bit on the mastering bit. So hopefully you can be the master of level one. So it's not just master of digital the whole thing. Okay, master of level one, which is for me is a basic introduction on what are the tools that you can actually do use for your teaching and learning. Okay. Again, my name is I'm chemist Dr. Abdullah Hadi Ahmad. You can just call me Hadi. And I'm from Department of Chemistry, Faculty of Science. So by no means I'm from education. So this is what I like to highlight to people, that if I can do it, so can you. So that's my tagline. Okay, I'm just a chemist. I can do it, so you can do it too. All right. So this is the agenda that I've planned for today. So the first one is just looking at framing. How do we frame the whole session? Basically looking at, I don't like to say that this is just one-way gate. I'm hoping that we can get like a two-way gate between you and me. Okay, so I label it, I define it as a workshop instead of simply just a webinar, a simple webinar. Okay, so framing it using learning outcomes, what you can get out of this, hopefully you can get out of this particular workshop. And then we're going to move into some demo and a little bit of sprint on how or what I've done in terms of digital learning, and perhaps you can move forward from there. Okay, so showcasing some digital tools, what I've done, sharing a bit of my experience. And of course, towards the end of the day, we're going to build up a little bit in terms of brainstorming ideas, looking at what you understand, and perhaps we can look at into a more group session discussion where I'm hoping that we can cover both the social scientists and a pure scientist. Okay. So these are the three main learning outcomes. So number one, hoping that we can differentiate automation, because again, the title is about automation. So what are the differences? What is automation? And when we are talking about AI, is AI and automation, or AI is a separate entity? Okay, so we're going to look at tools, hoping that to map out certain tools, especially the basic tools that both you and me can use freely. Of course, there are more highly complicated tools that we can look at, but it's not part of this level one because this is a basic introduction. Okay, and then looking at assessment, how we can build an engaging hands-on assessment, and how you can perhaps before this, if you would like to do it, but you might say, I have a constraint in my time. I have no idea what else I can do. Okay, so hopefully within this particular session, we're going to touch about a little bit about that. And I'm hoping that it will help you in terms of creating your own assessment. And towards the end of the day, it's just looking at the summary, the overall picture of the whole concept. Okay. Just a little bit of disclaimer. So throughout this presentation or workshop, I will use a lot of word of AI. Okay, but this AI doesn't mean that it's a general everything AI, but rather I would like to just focus on generative AI. But to say Gen AI, or generative AI is quite long, so I'm just going to abbreviate it as AI. So when I say it's AI, it's referring to generative AI. Okay, and of course, to the day, I'm not going to cover about ethics. There's only like one small slide about ethics. The goal for today is to focus on the tools, what can you use, and how you can actually use it for your teaching and learning. So again, as I mentioned, this is not a one-way communication. So I would like to start off with looking at your background from the audience. So if I may, if you can get your mobile phone, there's a few short quizzes to for me to look at your background. So if you can scan that and answer, I think there's like 3 questions or 4 questions for this particular kind of like ice breaking session. Okay, so that I can see. I know we are all from the university, but how well versed are you in terms of the tools, the technologies, or perhaps the adaptation of technologies in your TNL? So just quickly, perhaps we can take like 2 minutes to quickly scan and then answer this. That would be great. So there's, oh, it's a bit long. There's 6 questions for this one, but for the rest, it's a bit shorter. Okay. All right. So I'm hoping that so in 2 minutes, I'll wait for another 30 seconds. Then we'll view our the whole answer as we go along. Okay. Um, So this question is just looking at background, especially in terms of AI, because to the end of the day, what I'm talking about is a lot of technology, a lot of tools. So if you're not well versed in using tools or technology, then it's a bit difficult to follow through what I'm going to go through in the next few slides. All right, so let me move to the polls so that we all can see everything together. Hopefully. Let's see. Okay, I have 7 responses. So 40% says I'm a beginner. Okay, see. Hopefully you get more responses. There's about 60 of us, I think, in this particular session. Oh, 100 now. Okay, so if you can get more responses, that would be great. And again, this is not just for me. For your university, you can use these statistics too, right? So if you want to like to propose some technology, for example, so having this information is very useful. So I have done this for my own university, so I have already know what kind of like the background of my colleagues. So from there, we can look at what the technologies that we want, because again, each tool have its own difficulty level. So if majority of our colleagues are beginner, or they themselves declare as beginner, so the university might choose a tool which is a bit more basic and easy to use. It's like if we were to compare operating system, if you have Windows or Mac or Linux, okay. So Windows and Linux have more freedom, but they are more difficult to work on in comparison to a Mac. So knowing your background is very important. So we have 29. I think it's enough weight. Okay. So that's very good. So everybody declares that at least you are a user of some kind of AI. Okay. A few is exploring, majority is beginner, and a few are intermediates, which is very good. Okay. Because I think the things that I'm going to show is more on like beginner to intermediate level. So it's not really a pure beginner, and it's not pure looking at intermediate. So having this particular background, at least the 26% of you, hopefully we can follow and understand what I'm trying to teach. Okay, are you a paid user? So 18% is paid user, which is good. Okay, for those who are not paid user, things that I'm going to show might not be as easy to follow, but I will provide that alternative on what you can do. Okay, so that's why I need to know your background. In one word, what you can tell me about AI, prompting, instruction, AI, robots, about idea, relevant output, crucial, accurate wording, probably would be good. Okay, so generally, nobody's giving me a negative word. So instruction is has 5 responses, which is also good. Okay, how confident are you in prompting? 7 is extremely confident, which is very good. Excellent. Okay. So Dr. Viramani, you do have now a bigger pool of teachers within your university. Okay, somewhat confident about 26, neutral about half, somewhat not confident 15%, extremely not confident about 2. Okay, so next one, maybe prompting class. Tool that you have used, ChatGPT is the biggest. So we have 70 responses. Gemini, we have 9. Okay, Notebook LM, we have 1. GitHub Copilot, Writer, Jenny. Okay. So majority will be focusing on ChatGPT, and second one is Gemini. Of course, there are so many different tools out there. For example, you can use Napkin to create a lot of things. Scopus AI is just looking at writing papers, Grammarly for text, wording, Perplexity is the same thing, more or less. ChatGPT is the same. Okay. Copilot, ChatGPT are all family, siblings, sisters, so to say. Siri, okay, that's good answer, but not towards to the level that we want. We have ChatGPT again over here, Jenny, Quillbot, yeah, more or less the same as Grammarly. Rewriter as well, GitHub Copilot, and Notebook LM is one another tools that is very very powerful for us educators. But I'm not gonna go through Notebook LM for today just yet, because Notebook LM is the technology itself is still growing. So something that if I were to talk about Notebook LM now in comparison to 2 months ago, it's totally different. There's so many things that you can do with Notebook LM comparison to about 2 months ago. Okay, so we'll focus on ChatGPT per se. So what year did you start using Gen AI? Before 2019? Oh, that's very good. 4%. I actually belong to this particular category, 2019 to 2020. So not at the very beginning, but yeah, not too late as well. Okay, so 30% is between these 2 years, and the bulk majority of you are quite recent. All right. So thank you for the ice breaking session. Okay, the activity. Thank you for joining. Okay, so let's move on into part one, automation. Okay, so towards the end of the day, when we are talking about automation, either you know what automation is, or you have no idea how to do automation. Okay, you might actually know that you have used automation, or you might not notice that you have used automation. Okay, for example, the simplest automation that we've done, I'm sure like most of you have used it. When you went for a holiday, or when you are away from university. So normally inside our email, we will put like auto reply, right? So this auto reply is part of automation. But the simplistic one, yes, but nonetheless, it is part of automation. Okay, so we automate to basically balance efficiency and our goals. So in this particular case, because we are focusing on teaching and learning, so we are trying to balance out with our pedagogical goals. Okay, because post-COVID, we have so many technologies, but so little time to explore. And even for myself, I explore what I can. There are so many things that we can explore, and that's why but majority of time, my exploration time at least is on ChatGPT in comparison to other tools. Because it's not because ChatGPT is the first one, but rather because there's a lot of things that you can actually do with ChatGPT, and to the end of the day, the other tools are also using ChatGPT. Okay, and because of this technology, so normally some technologies, or bulk majority of technologies, equates to complexity. So the technology is there, but it's too complex. Like our AI, our Gen AI. Um, I'm not sure whether you have done it with your students or not, but I have checked with my students. what I do see is when I ask like a general question, who have used an AI? So bulk majority will say that they have used it. But when I ask, can you show me your prompt? So bulk majority have no idea how to prompt properly. What they use is like converting your Google search statement into prompting, which is you still get your answer, but it's not how you actually use an AI. So the complexity is there where one, whether it's a student or lecturer, needs to learn a little bit before you can actually master it. Okay. And therefore, because of this higher complexity, it equates to more time, either time for you to learn, time for you to really understand what it's all about, or time for you to actually get a grasp on how the tool should be. But then once you might have mastered a little bit, the technology have moved forward one step ahead of you. So it's kind of like, another relearning steps, relearning process. As maybe some of you have known, ChatGPT released an automation, not ChatGPT, sorry, OpenAI released a workflow automation just I think about last year or 2 weeks ago. Okay. And the automation system that they've built is so, I would say, good, and it's so into on what I have used before this by just doing prompting, but now they've make it into a flow where it can actually do a lot more things, and to the end of the day save you time. Okay, but again, there's a learning process over there, and for today's session we are not going to go into that particular level because it's a bit more complex, rather than what I'm trying to show for today. Okay, so looking at the topic over here, so there's two terms that I've highlighted. One is efficiency, another one is pedagogy. So efficient means you want whatever work that you are doing, especially related to teaching and learning, to be faster, right? You want to mark faster, you want to create question faster, you want to give feedback faster, you want to perhaps create lecture notes faster, create images faster. Okay, because at the end of the day, we can create a lot of slides, right? But maybe we spend a week or two to actually generate our lecture slides. But now, because of AI, what you can do is just simply, do a summary of what topics, or perhaps you can just use our pro forma, get our topic titles that we are trying to teach, put into AI, let it build for you, right? So, and of course, to the end of the day, when you use an AI, it's not just simply, input it into an AI, get the output, and then straight away use it. There's always a cycle that you need to follow through, which is you use an AI, you get an output, you need to review it, and you need to conform with the output of the AI before you can actually use it. So for me, that's a cycle that I would like to follow. So any output that I will get, definitely I will read it first before you share it with either your colleagues, your friends, your family, students, or especially your bosses. Okay. So in this particular topic, what we're going to look at a little bit is on grading. Okay. And grading over here, because the topic is about automation and grading, there's two options. So number one, you just do it like blank grading. And number two is where you can actually use an AI to help you with the grading. So we're going to look at those two options. Okay. Again, I would like to highlight, we are not looking at ethics now. Okay. So I'm just looking at focusing on tools and what are the things that you can actually do with the tools. In terms of grading, yeah, some might say, you shouldn't use an AI to do your grading. Okay, but the other opponent will say, why not? Okay, so we are not going to debate about the ethics for today. So we're gonna just look at the tools and how you can actually use the tool to do your grading. Okay, while looking at the pedagogy, what is more important is for our students to get a timely feedback for the assessment that we give them, from any engagement, right? So presentation, for example, sometimes it's very hard for them. Oh, it's not hard for us to give feedback, but because due to our limited time, and especially now all universities have their own like massive KPI that we need to fulfill. So to the end of the day, we still have 24 hours. So there are some sacrifices. Therefore, myself, I would like to explore AI to help me in automating some of the tasks that I can, but which is the easier ones. But if the task is more complex, especially it's related to marks and whatnot, I would like to use more verified approach. Okay. Now, how is automate or automation differs from a general AI or Gen AI use? Okay, if you look at historically, so way before in about 1950-ish, where computer was built up by IBM and whatnot, the industry moved into an automation system because once you can code a computer, you can let the system to kind of like do a repetitive work automatically. Okay, so that's when automate exists. So it's not a new technology. It happens way back um, once computer was first built. I would say that. Okay, and then as the technology modernized, computer becoming more advanced, you can do more complex automation. Next technology emerges where machine learning comes into place. Okay, so machine learning over here means that you output a lot of information. The system or the machine learns about the data that you give, and therefore, if you ask it to do something, they can do it very, very easily based on the knowledge that they have learned. So that's what machine learning is. And as machine learning grows and grows, it moves into a deep learning where it goes a bit more deep, where in terms of the general knowledge, machine learning is more unsupervised. You give the data, right? And then you fix. If the machine learns incorrectly, you try and fix it. But deep learning is where you just jumble up, you just pull up your data, give it to the AI, it reads it without nobody is teaching it anything, and it can give you a reasonable, confident level of data output. Okay. And then as machine learning, or this is where our general AI comes into play, even though they might not use the similar term as deep learning, so because there's so many different terms, so you're just gonna jumble up as an AI. So this is where we are. And very recently, about 1 or 2 months ago, a lot of agents started to pop up. So agents are basically still an AI, but it has a very, very specific task. So say, for example, when ChatGPT comes out, say last year, 2023, where OpenAI started to enable ChatGPT to be able to browse internet. Okay, so you can actually tell ChatGPT, okay, browse internet, or find information about a flight. Okay, I would like to travel from KL to say Penang or Sabah Sarawak. Okay, and the AI will go and browse through, find the cheapest flight and whatnot, and let you know, okay, so if you want to go between this and this date, therefore you can take this particular flight, right? So ChatGPT can do that even before this. While within the same conversation, you can talk about what about planes, what mode of communication, transport that you can actually use. So those are all like very general perspective, but it can do that. So what agent over here means is that it is serving a certain specific task. Okay, so instead of having like a one big brain like human that can do everything, agent is a small set of brain that can do a very specific task very, very good. Okay, so this is where agent is. And very, very recently, this is what OpenAI, like a week or 2 weeks ago, have just launched, which is an agent builder, whereby within the particular structure, you can connect multiple agents into a single prompt, and it's kind of like a learning process whereby the output that you get will be much, much better in comparison to if you just were to prompt it into ChatGPT. Okay, so in general, how does automate and AI differs? So in terms of automate, it's a rule based. Okay, so it has a very, very specific rule. So an agent mimics more towards an automate. However, our general AI, ChatGPT and whatnot, is more on it learns and adapts. Okay, so agent has more very, very specific unique task. Automate also is very, very deterministic. So it determines, or it's already have a predetermined output. Okay. While for Gen AI, it's based on normally on probabilistic. So based on probability of if you learn about how AI actually works, which is just numbers basically. So the output that is it actually provides probabilistic. Okay, so it's based on probability. Automate is more on structured data. So you output in a more structured based on what the agent have been developed or what the automatic system have been developed as. But for Gen AI, it's more on unstructured data. So typo there. So unstructured data, whereby um, sometimes ChatGPT give you an output in a table. Sometimes it will just give you like in a paragraph. Sometimes it's a very short form and whatnot. So it's more unstructured in comparison to if you were to use an agent or if you develop your own automated system. Okay, and automate normally very, very minimum having an adaptation, whereby if you design it or if it was designed so that it needs to do A and B and C and D, and therefore the output that you'll get is also proceeding in this particular fashion: A, B, C, and D. While for Gen AI, it's based on decision making. So sometimes it gives you something and then it will suggest, would you like to do this way, this way, this way? And then if you say, oh yeah, maybe that one is better. So you'll just prompt it again and then you'll get your output based on the decision that you are making. Okay. And of course, towards the end of the day, AI handles expectation. So what it means over here is it learns based on how you actually used it. It's based on history. So if, say, for example, in your chat GPT, I'm not sure whether you have done this or not, you can actually prompt to chat GPT and ask it, what do you know about me? And what chat GPT will do is just like give you an information about what it knows about you. Okay. So say, for example, okay. Okay. So that's it. Tell me, what do you know about me? Okay. So this is just a ChatGPT. Um, they call it ChatGPT desktop for Mac. Okay, so if you like to install in your Mac, if you're using Mac, then you can actually install this and it will just connect to your ChatGPT and it will just provide you all the information straight away without changing, going to different browser and whatnot. Okay, so this is what ChatGPT knows about you. So you can ask it what it knows. Okay, and based on all of this information is what relates back to handle expectation. So say for example, okay, this one, right? So working style and preferences. This is what ChatGPT knows about me. So I prefer Harvard professor level formal writing. Okay, so when I prompt, the AI will expect the output to be related to a professor level, very, very formal level. Okay, so this is what I mean by this particular instance handles expectation. Okay, of course, this is mine. So we can open your chat GPT and ask the same question and see whether you are surprised with what it knows about you, or perhaps you will say like, this is not me. Okay. Well, of course, to the end of the day, I'm a boy. The name over here is my wife's name. Just because I'm sharing the same account with my wife, and therefore ChatGPT kind of like capture my wife's name better than my name. So my chat GPT, I like to make a joke saying that my chat GPT is schizophrenic, where people have two personalities. So my chat GPT actually have two personalities. It knows me, but it also knows my wife. So some information is about me, some information is about my wife. So yeah, our output sometimes is a bit haywire, but nonetheless, it's actually quite fun to read through the information that ChatGPT gives. So please go ahead and try it yourself and see whether it's good or not in your end. All right. So what are AI automation? So automation is basically a human process done or completed by a computer by following a stipulated preset or unique steps, criteria, or description. Okay, so this is what general automation is. So it is a human step. meaning that we can do it. It's just that if it's repeating too many times, having a computer to do it for you save time. Okay, so this is automation. And of course, automation has so many different categories. So I just listed here two main ones. And there are other categories as well as listed down there. But the two categories that I'm focusing on is number one, generative AI automation. So this is what we are focusing on. Okay, how we can actually use Gen AI to help us to automate um, our tasks. We are focusing on teacher learning today. Okay, so but nonetheless, it can be used for other things as well. So within teacher learning concept, so automation basically we can a creation of original content, right? So if say for example, you have not taught a class before, but you do have the information about the class, you have the textbook, you have the digital textbook, you have all the basic information. It's just that you don't have the PowerPoint slide that you can share with your student. Of course, at the end of the day, you can build it yourself. Or if you are the old school type, you like to draw in whiteboard or chalkboard, it's totally fine, right? There's nothing wrong with doing that. Um, but AI is here. If you were to do that, it might take you more time. But if you use an AI to automate all of these creation steps, you can actually save a lot of time. Okay, so such as creating text, creating image. If you are from computer science background, you can code. If you are not from computer science background, you can also code now. Okay, and this is what I've done as well. So learning about coding is simply just knowing basic the structure, but you don't really need to know every single thing, but you can actually do it. Okay, so based on given prompt or input. Okay, so this is your prompt, this is your input. What do you want? The system will automate and create the tools for you. An example over here, you can create a marketing content. Okay, for example, for MC micro credential, if you have extra courses that you are teaching as a micro credential, you do it without using um, the LMS from your own university. Okay, so you can actually create a lot of things. So you can automate generating product description. You can create social media posts. So this is widely used nowadays. And email copy of a new product at launch. So this is for me more on the intermediate ones, not the basic things that you can do. You can still manage to do all of these stepwise, but towards the end of the day, you can automate this detailed process even using ChatGPT. Okay, of course there are some other tools like Zapier, N8N, what else? I can't remember on top of my head, but there are a few tools that you can actually use. Okay, while for NLP, natural language processing automation, especially for social scientists, you can use AI to understand, to interpret, to generate human language, text or speech. Okay, so at UM, we are using, of course, an AI as well to develop audio files. So audio for our MCs, because developing MC takes a lot of time, and not just our time, but also our lecturers' time. So what sometimes we do is we'll just ask the lecturer, please go to ChatGPT, ask ChatGPT to record like 15 minutes text using whatever topic. Okay. And then the lecturer will just read out the scripts while do a recording of their audio. And then we request that the lecturer send the audio information to us at the central level so that we can process and mimic their voice using our own AI tools. So we do that, and therefore what we need to ask from our lecturers, from our experts are, this is your course, you are an expert in this particular topic. So can you just give us a script, example script that you might read if you were to present this particular course? So we'll just provide us a script. We take the script, put into our audio files, and voila, we'll create it audio based on the lecturer's voice. So it saved their time, but in our case, it's also saving us time from going to the person and asking them to come to the studio, our recording studio, multiple times just for the sake of do a recording. Okay, so you can do that. You can also create service chatbots. So I've created this for UM, especially in the education in our LMS about 2 years ago using ChatGPT. Um, you can create a chatbot to answer our students' inquiries, especially if you want to use it for your own course. So we're gonna look into this example after this. Okay, and you can perhaps do a triaging support tickets. You can do a summary of a topic, a service, your research, for example, whatever it may be. Okay, and other categories, ML automation, we have computer vision, document processing, and whatnot. So there's so many different types of automation nowadays. The number keeps on growing, so it's very hard for us to actually catch up. Okay, so move back again to our first activity. So hoping that everybody can get your phone, scan this QR code again, and if I'm not mistaken, there's only like 3 questions for this one. So it's very short. So or 5 questions. And then we'll move to the next session after this. Okay. So I'll wait for about 30 seconds before I move to the other our post. So hopefully my line is quite clear. The QR code is quite clear on your end so that you can actually scan this. Okay. All right. So the question I asked there is 3 questions is about whether you agree to this particular statement. Okay. It has nothing to do with ethics. So this is just based on personal opinion. So just I would like to see how you guys are have the opinion compared to what I've done in UM using the more or less similar question. Okay. And in terms of LMS, I'm just asking. I know like most public universities we are using Moodle, like Dr. Wirawani. Yeah. So I'm asking to get like really confident in this particular session before I move into some examples. So I'm teaching this to our lecturers in UM. So I'm sharing with you guys as well. So if you don't know that you can actually do this, then perhaps you can start doing it for your own class as well. It's a very, very simplistic way. We kind of like combine between AI and our LMS, not integrating it per se, but rather use the AI tool to help you with your LMS. Um, all right, so that's more than 30 seconds. Let's move and see the second 6, 7. Need to click on that. Okay, so activity number 1. Is it refreshing? Let me just reload. Okay, all right, we have 32 responses. There you go. I will automate to make things easier for me. 97%, which is good. Okay. All right. So 3% says you would not make you automate to just make things easier for you, which is fine. It's totally fine. I mean, it depends on your task again, right? So if you do have a lot of work that you need to do, automating things is a good thing to do. But again, as I mentioned, I haven't touched about ethics. So if you do touch about ethics, then this is actually quite a question that we can deliberate. Okay. Second question, I would automate to ensure my students can learn as best as they can, which is good. Again, 10% says no for some reason. I don't know if you are one of the 10%, if you can share in the chat why do you think that you will not automate to ensure your student can learn best. That would be great. Okay, so there's no right or wrong. In terms of technology, there's always positive and negative in both sides. So it depends on your topic. It depends on what you are teaching. So I like to be open and say, there are certain things you can automate and certain things it's best even if you automate, you don't tell anyone. Okay. So it's more about ethics. And we do know ethics is always two principle. Ethics is not just a yes. Ethics changes over time. So yeah, I mean it's totally acceptable. I automate just for the sake of exploring new things. 56% says yes. So yeah, welcome. I'm actually together with this group. Okay, I just automate to explore new things instead of, just helping me solve or whatever I want to solve. LMS, we have Moodle, okay, Notebook LM. So some use Canvas. So I know Canvas now integrated AI as well. So Moodle, perhaps next year they will release a more integrated AI Moodle. But I'm not sure whether our university should move into version 5 yet because it's very heavy. Okay, and last one. So you're custom with any one of these, which is good. For the 7% of you, if you're not accustomed to it, then I will welcome you to explore a little bit. Yeah, either you explore ChatGPT or Gemini, it's up to you. Um, Towards the end of the day, you can explore, but be careful on what you share to this either both of these tools. ChatGPT is widely used. They have a button where you can allow or disallow them to use your data for AI training. Okay, Gemini it's more complex because it falls under the umbrella of Google. I've looked at their terms and conditions, so I've heard some companies in Malaysia says that they use Gemini because Gemini will not use your data. But if you read the fine print of Gemini, it's very vague. I prefer ChatGPT. They make it very very clear, saying that they will not use it for training. So that's why I prefer ChatGPT more compared to Gemini. But yeah, everyone, it's up to you whether you want to use ChatGPT or Gemini. I mean, Gemini is more integrated towards all the Google ecosystem. ChatGPT currently is just on ChatGPT, but there are a few more additional things that you can use with it. All right. So again, thank you for participating. Let's look at part two, which is a demo and a bit sprint on how I use some of these technologies. Okay. So, Dr. Virani, is there any question from chat? No, right? Or there are a few. So let me see if there's no
As
question.
no question, they just commenting on things.
Okay.
Only one there from Dr. Muhammad Nasrin. Maybe he was surprised. You said no ethics today.
Yeah. I mean, if I were to include ethics, then the whole workshop will be even longer because ethics needs a lot of discussion. It's not simply what I say is right, but it's whether what we think together is right. So that's why I refrain from teaching ethics, but just to show you, because I think our audience today are all lecturers, right? There's no students.
No student, no
Okay.
student.
Yeah,
Mm-mm.
so that's another reason why I exclude ethics. Primarily because if you know what AI can be used and you feel that it's unethical, okay, so you need to think about the same thing can be done by your students. So if you know about it and you don't agree to it, you can do something about it. Okay, so that's why today is just to showcase what you can do and think a bigger picture. If you can do it this way, your student can also do it in a different way. And therefore, if you don't agree to that particular things, a particular way of the tools being used, you can always be prepared so that if your student is doing it, you now have at least a little bit of knowledge on where you want to move forward. Okay. So, all right. So, looking at the exploration of digital assessment landscape. So, it's very huge. There's a lot of type of assessment, either it be the traditional, conventional quiz assessment, MCQ, short answer, essay. What else? We have the more modern ones, authentic assessment. We have alternative assessment. We have poster development. We have this video and whatnot. So there's so many things that you can actually do with regards to this. So personally, when we're talking about DAO or digital assessment landscape, I like to look into it as the integration of technology, okay, especially in our end, for the purpose of evaluation of student learning. So it's not simply just automating or using an AI for the sake of, AI is there, so let it do it. It works. I don't need to do anything, and I can just do something else. No, it shouldn't be that way. So we should use it to evaluate student learning while doing an automatic, while doing it automatically. So you do it automatically, but towards the end of the day, you must agree to the system that you develop. Okay, so that's why what we're gonna touch about it today a little bit, focusing on this particular concept. Okay, and driven by force like the need for flexible learning and the rise of new tools like AI. Okay, so this is what we're gonna look at in a quite while. So in this particular session, there are four examples that I'm teaching. I would like to go slightly deeper into. It can do more than this, of course. But the four main ones that I have used, and these are the first few things that I've used when ChatGPT comes out, and when I've started paying for the Plus account. So this is what I did. I explored in these four particular topics. So number one, doing an auto graded. Okay, auto grading. Of course, our LMS can do that. So that's what we're going to touch a little bit. So for those who have not know about it, then we can look into it. But if you do know, then it's fine. Okay, so it's a very simplistic way. And number two is assisted grading, whereby you use an AI to help you in terms of getting evaluation for your students. Okay, and number three is more on assessment creation. So this is on our end, creating assessment using an AI. Number four is creating a custom tutor, a tutor bot that hopefully, I mean, in my end, I have seen it. I have received a feedback from my student as well. They all love it. So that's why I put it aside as part of the four things that I'm going to talk today, hoping that it can help with the engagement between you and students. Because I know lecturers, we have different categories. Some lecturers likes to share their personal WhatsApp number to your students, just because so that student, if they need to, they can contact you and you can have the engagement outside of class via WhatsApp. But on the other side, there are also a group of lecturers who prefer not to share their WhatsApp. Okay, uh, for me, both are fine. Okay, so it's up to you on how do you want to have an engagement with your students. But regardless of which group you are, if you create a custom tutor, you can now always have a full engagement with your student. Of course, it's not you per se, but you can develop it so that the tutor itself mimic on how you would engage with your students. Okay, so let's look at number one, less AI, it's more automatic. Automation, this is more on a static. So we're going to look at a Moodle very, very quickly, Google Form, Microsoft Form. I think for us, Google Form and Microsoft Form is very easy. We have perhaps used it multiple times. We've used it a lot, especially during COVID. And you also saw me using it just now, using Microsoft Form. Okay, so these two categories, you can always do an automatic, a static automatic automation, whereby student answers, they get marks straight away, and you as an examiner or teacher, you also get the marks that you can quickly just pull up and say, this is your continuous assessment mark. Okay, but for within Moodle itself, um, the simplest way, if you have not done so, let me think about which website I want to go. UM has some problems with our internet today, so I'm not sure whether it's useful to run on Moodle or never mind. Let me just bear with me for five few minutes. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to start up my own Moodle so that I can do things faster. All right. So this is just a basic model. Okay. So this is just a basic simple model that I'm running on my PC so that it will be faster for me to showcase. Okay. Now I can't remember the login. Let me switch to another one. Sorry about that. I initially planned to run within Moodle system so that I can showcase on how I do my course, but unfortunately, um, we have issues since Monday, and yesterday our IT department kind of like disable all the internet networks, hoping that today it will be much better. But this morning we still receive complaints about internet being slow, inaccessible, and whatnot. So let's say this is a trial course. Let's put it as trial over here. Okay. All right. Course format, just leave it as default. Custom section, it's fine. Okay. So imagine that this is your Moodle. Of course, it might view it differently because you might have a different version or different template and whatnot. Well, that's fine. It's just assume that this is your Moodle. So if you have not done or if you have not used any quiz, of course, quiz over here can be done very, very easily in terms of automating a lot of processes. For example, before this, if you were to do pen and paper, right? So pen and paper where you need to print, go to class, give all the question to your students. They need to complete it within the time frame of the particular session, and then you collect everything and then you mark before you give marks. If you do it on online, of course, number one, you can do an automation in terms of setting up the time itself. So if say our quiz is at 12, you can either make it start earlier and finish slightly later if it's for just 1 hour. Let's say, okay, something like this. Okay, and you can always give a time limit on how many minutes students should complete the assessment. Okay, so this is the simplest one. This is the simplest automation, whereby before this you need to do it. Now you can just allow tools to actually do it for you. Grading is also part of the category, but over here, we'll just leave it as is. Layout, again, just leave it as is as well. Question behavior, shuffling. So because this is LMS, I'm just going to go through it very, very quickly. Shuffling is very good, especially in terms of deterring students from communicating or discussing with one another. And after this, I'm going to go through like a bit more detail on what else can you do to make sure that students doesn't have the luxury to sit in round table and then discuss with one another. Okay, so this one is just a basic ones introduction. Then we'll go a bit deeper. Okay, appearance, nothing. Safe exam browser. Yes, again, you can turn this on if you would like to, as part of your control mechanism. Extraction of attempts doesn't mean anything. Okay, so allowing feedback. So this is the second automation that you can actually provide. You can actually provide answers or provide response to your student. But this is also what I mean by, if you look at this, static. Okay, so it is giving feedback because when we do any assessment, whether the assessment carry marks or not, giving a response, a feedback to our student is very much welcome by our students. So if you are using quiz, this is a very, very critical component that hopefully you fill in. You can always add in more additional sections whereby you can say grade boundary 100% is excellent. Okay, and then you can say this one is 80, 60, 40, 20, and 0. Okay, so this is the basic ones that we can have. Of course, we can have very detailed. So now, how do you mix the static information to a more dynamic? Is by simply using screenshots. Okay, so you take a screenshot of your feedback. Again, go to your favorite LLM. Okay, paste a picture and then ask it, can you please provide a not a recipe, a statement as feedback to my students quiz based on the image provided. Okay, so hopefully ChatGPT helps me. Otherwise, I need to make sure the prompt is longer. So this is again very basic, simple prompt, straightforward. You provide a picture, and there you go. Okay, so it reads the picture properly, and now instead of you having to type every single thing, you can now just go and copy and paste this. Okay, so it's helpful. You save a bit of time over here just now. Okay, so very well, and so on and so forth. Okay, I'm just gonna skip this. Okay, so this is one of the things that AI can help you. Okay, so this is again, it's a static feedback, which is again fine. But if you have not used it previously, now you can actually use it, and because tools are there. Again, as I mentioned at the very beginning, tools are there. And tools technology equates to complexity, and complexity equates to time, right? So sometimes people know this is here, it's very good to use, but to the end of the day, it's too complex. I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to write this, I need to write that. But because of AI, you can actually automate this and prepare it like very, very easily. With boundary between 0 to 10, 0 to 100, and the value for boundary to 3, or it doesn't like my boundary, that's fine. Boundary 4 is out of range. So what do you want? So this one is great boundary 0, great boundary is 80, must be 0 to 80%, or maybe I need to put a percent over here. Work. Let's see. Okay, there you go. They just want a percentage. Okay, so now we have our quiz. And as usual, we just go and add your quiz. Okay, so this is the feedback that I'm going to talk about. Very simple, very automatic. And again, when you put a quiz, as long as based on the mark that you gave, if you do, this is one is again, I think it's just a refresher because most people are using it. Default mark is there. This is true. Put it 100%. This is false. Make it 0 just for the sake of none is there. Okay, just for the sake of this is the um yeah, just for the sake of showing that we have 1 mark. Maximum mark is 10. So if you do have 10 questions, then it will be automatically marked for you. Okay, so this is the basic simplest ones on automation. So you combine a little bit of AI to generate what do you call it, feedback just now. Okay, but that's the basic ones. So
Dr. Hadi,
yes,
there's a question asking about
and
student
add
name.
name in the feedback to make it sound personalized. Unfortunately, Moodle doesn't really allow you to do that unless if you actually go in deep, meaning that you actually go into scripting and then you allow it to do it. But for now, you can't do it based on the basic model. Okay, the basic model you can't. So yeah, unfortunately. But if say for example, the university would like to spend some funding to create an additional platform where the platform is specifically built for assessment, then you can actually tap it into Moodle database and do it that way. It will be a more specific feedback. So that's what we are also trying to explore in UM. So that's another baby project that I'm doing. So trying to tap into the database of Moodle and giving a more personalized feedback. Because to the end of the day, I think that's the goal for our Dasai Pembelajaran 2.0. It's more on personalized learning and whatnot. So yeah, that's where I'm heading. But whether the project is successful or not, I have yet to see the results. But for now, what we are building, at least in UM, is the system itself for assessment creation. Maybe we can do it later. But for now, just based on the basic model, we can't do that, unfortunately. Yeah. Okay. All right. So second one, as assistant, as consistent as possible. Okay. Now we are looking at more on assessment grading. So when we are talking about assessment grading, what we've seen so far over here is the assessment grading is static, right? It's just based on a question, whether it may be MCQ, or even if you choose short answer or true or false. We have essay over here, short answer, calculation, and whatnot. So these are all a predetermined answers, and therefore, if student um, answers are different than what your predetermined answer is, then student will just simply get a 0 mark out of the whole thing. Okay, because Moodle system currently is just static, so it's just true or false, yes or no, one and zeros. That it's no flexibility. There's no in between. Like if we are to mark, right? So sometimes when we have an essay, and you ask about A, but your student mentioned a very 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 small corner of the whole assessment. So you might not give your student a full mark, but at least you will say like, you kind of like understand where your students are trying to go, so you'll give them like half a mark or 1 mark out of 2 or out of 5. But if you do the same thing inside a Moodle where the system is static, so it doesn't really understand what your student is trying to read, and therefore you cannot really do that, right? So this is where ChatGPT comes in, or any AI per se comes in, where you can actually create a more personalized answers or feedback for your students. Be it might be a bit manual, but since OpenAI have developed agents, so this can be easily automated in the next few. I mean, if you were to give me 1 more week, then perhaps I will develop it. But for now, we will just do like a manual thing. And this is what I do for some of my assessment for my students. Okay. So what you do is basically, because the idea is for you to provide an assessment of a grading. So not for the AI to grade everything. You can do that if you would like to, but towards the end of the day, if your goal is as assisted as an assistant, so the AI is an assistant to your grading, then you should not do that. So what do you need? So number one, what you need is, of course, an information about the course. Okay, so I'm just writing it up over here so that you can see it, because I don't have a slide specifically on that. And then second one, what you need is you have a rubric. Okay, and this rubric is a rubric that must be very specific, very tailor-made to the assessment that you created. So say, for example, if your assessment is about, let me create some assessment by just looking around. Let's say, how does, let's think about assessment about global warming, because now I'm a bit warm. Global warming. Okay, so that's the assessment. The assessment is about global warming. So, of course, you need to have information about the cause, whether the cause is what specific about global warming is the cause is all about. And then you need to have about information about the cause, general information, and specific about the course. Okay, after this, I will show you what I have done for my own course, but this is just a general ones first. Okay, so you have the general information. So this general information can also include the CLO of this particular course. And then the specific about the course and assessment, especially assessment. Okay. And why do you need to have this particular information is so that the AI knows what it should expect. Okay. So moving back to the AI is managing expectation. So you need to let it know what is your expectation? What do you want it to do for you? Okay. And then number three is the goal of the grading. Okay. Whether it's a full marking or assisted marking, assisted grading and whatnot. So you need to make it clear to the AI. And then you provide it a rubric. Okay. So if the assessment is looking at a few principles, so you can say, like, for example, if you're looking at the structure of the whole submission, for example, so you need to give a rubric in terms of the structure. The structure follows through um, the structure that you want. It must have introduction, must have a body, must have a conclusion, for example. So if a student have these three sections, then they will get 3 marks. If they have only one section, then they will get 1 mark. If they have nothing, it will be 0 marks. So this is the rubric that I mentioned. The rubric must be very, very clear, very, very as detailed as possible. The goal is for you to create a rubric so that if you were to give that rubric to your other colleagues that will do the marking for you, he or she can read through the rubric and understand what you are trying to say, okay, and understand how you are trying to mark the student. So this is the goal. Okay, but again, to the end of the day, that person might not mark exactly as how you would mark it. Therefore, this is your expectation for your AI. So the AI will not mark exactly as how you mark it. Okay, so have that particular expectation. Rubric. And number three, this is the best if you do have it, but if you don't, then it's normally, it's not to say it's okay, but again, it move towards more ethical principle. Okay, example of how you mark. Okay, examples. So if you can provide the examples, like you now you provide the CLO, you provide the specific, you provide the information about the assessment, you provide the goal of the grading, you provide the rubric, and now you provide the examples of how you mark, then what you'll get is you'll get, like, not to say identical to what you mark, but close enough. Okay, so this is what I find. If you don't provide this, then the marking, the grading, that the assisted grading or the full mark, the grading that the AI will do for you is a bit jumpy. So sometimes a good paper will get a low mark. Sometimes you'll get a bad paper get relatively average mark, which we normally for a human we will not do that. Okay, but for an AI, this is sometimes what happens. So giving an example will make sure that the AI stays consistent. Okay, which is more important in terms of when you are using an AI to do your marking or to do an assisted marking, having an example so that it can do like a baseline. So this is the baseline. This is how my user is marking the whole system, and therefore, as best as I can, I need to follow this particular grading system. Okay, so having these three particular information, that it should help your AI to give a relatively good feedback. Now,
So doctor, can I ask?
yep,
The example here means good example, average example, and poor example.
correct. If you do have
So,
that three categories, then it will be best.
oh, okay. So
Yeah,
we have to mark first. Mark
correct.
some papers first. Oh, okay.
So there's two ways of looking at it. So number one, you need to mark some of it first before you provide the examples. Or number two, if you have taught that course before previously, right, you can just always use whatever you have marked. So there's two approach. So if you're a new lecturer, then perhaps you need to mark first. But if you're a more senior lecturer, you have examples, then you can provide your examples. Yeah. Okay.
And there's another question, I think,
Is it in the
from the
chat?
chat box. Yes, in the chat
Uh,
about multiple
for
MCQ.
MCQ, is there any format that we can upload to question bank? Oh, good question. That is what I'm going to touch after this. Okay. Uh,
Okay. Before that, about the example, sorry, doctor.
mhm.
Uh, does it mean that we have to like take some example of students writing the answers that student wrote into that AI to give the clear example how what is the poor answer, what is the good answer? Is that what you mean by examples? Yeah.
Okay. So if you want to have a real life example, then that would be best. Okay, but of
Okay.
course, there are restriction in uploading students' work. So what you can also do is create your own examples, meaning that if you were to do this particular assignment, this is how I envision the whole report will be. And then a poor report is like this. It's like creating a rubric, but rubric is like a summary, but this example is a detailed, um, full report structure. Okay, so it's not just simply point form and whatnot, but it's a full example of your writing. If it's a writing assessment, of course, if it's a video, then it's a bit difficult to mark. But in terms of what I have tested personally is more on writing. I do attend sessions where people likes to share what they did. Some have done in for drawings. Okay, especially good because AI nowadays can also generate images. So basically, at the back end, the technology can read images. So you can actually do that for drawing as well. For drawing diagrams, for example, if you are engineering, right, drawing diagrams, so you can use that too. For what else? Physics is a bit difficult because the knowledge keeps on expanding. Mathematics, yes, you can, but you need to make sure that all your symbols and whatnot are very, very clearly legible by other person. Otherwise, the AI will just misread it as well. Um, so in my case, because I'm teaching chemistry, and I've used it for poster design, poster marking. As long as there's not so much contradict in terms of color, in terms of how the text is compared to images, then normally the AI can read it relatively okay. So these are the examples that you can actually use. Either an example of your own creation or your past students' creation or your current student creation. Because we know each batch, sometimes you have a good batch, sometimes you have a not so good batch. So it kind of like rotates once in a while. So um, yeah, maybe you yourself know better in terms of your students, normally what students you'll get, and what type of assessment that you normally do, and how the feedback is for that particular assessment. Okay, all right. So, what about physics, especially involving yeah? So as I mentioned, physics is a bit difficult to do this, um, unless if the writing is very very clear. So say for example, if your physics is you ask your students to write it by hand, for example. So writing by hand, number one, even if they submit it towards the end of the day by digital, meaning that they write it by their own hand and then they take a photo and then submit it to you where you can upload. Yes, AI can read, but if the writing is a bit small, is a bit inconsistent in terms of ways student writes, as humans we can clearly see and understand, but for AI is very difficult because the way AI view writings and images are not as how we view things. AI view it based on pixels. So if the images is in low quality, for example, it might affect how AI will read it. Therefore, the AI might give you like a false positive or false negative answers or feedback. Okay. Um, all right. So this one is Dr. Izati mentioned something about question bank. Okay, so this is also something that I did. Restrict me on having feedback for each question. Should me to fill feedback one by one for each question. Huh. Good question. In terms of feedback, I haven't done it. Personal feedback yet. Let's explore if we do have time for today. Okay. All right. So moving back to this particular grading, assisted grading. Let me see. If I'm not mistaken, is this? Okay. So this is a grading assistant that I developed. So basically, it will just ask me about this particular topic. And what I do is, say, for example, if it's for number one. Okay, so number one is for a course that I have been taught for so long. Okay, and this course is, I think, this year is the last year that we are running this course. Next year, the course will no longer be here, so I can show it to you guys. I guess. Let's look at the prompt that I've developed. Now, the files. Oh, that particular course doesn't have any format at all. Let's see. If I click on this, what can I see? Is this just the assignment? So this is just the assignment criteria. Okay, so this is just an example of the criteria that I mentioned. So this is a course for a poster assignment. I have not done this for quite a while. So I'm just going to show you. Last time I've done it about 2.5 years ago. This semester, I'm teaching this again, but I'm switching my assignment altogether. I did this particularly because at one point UM received a lot of China students. So the issue with Chinese students is it's basically writing. They understand the concepts, but writing and English is a bit difficult for them. And therefore, what I did was I changed from a normal written assignment or short answer and whatnot to a poster submission, so that will be easier for my student to score, so to say. Not to give them marks, but rather to justify and say that they are actually bright student. It's just a matter of language barrier that makes them looks like a poor student. Okay, we'll be getting a recording later, so I think the management or CPD will share the recording to you guys. Okay, all right. Now, so this is an example. You can see over here a bit of information. This is assignment type, poster submission. So I mentioned it to the ChatGPT AI that I gave. I provide the instruction, provide the title, provide the scenario of the assessment. So basically, I provide like as much information as I can for the AI to understand what are the assessment all about and how I actually portray the assessment to my students. Okay, but my students did not receive the same instruction over here. Okay, so these are the details instruction. My student only received like a very, I think it's just this. Okay, so this is what my student received. Let me see. Yep. Okay, so you are a laboratory analyst. Tasking with selecting an appropriate HPLC detector for a new analytical project. The project involved analyzing a compound of your choice. I put it there by luck is because the compound itself, I put like list of compounds, I grumble it, and then I ask my students to randomly pick one. Okay, so that's why it's by luck. So some students will get like an easier molecule, some will get more difficult ones. That may be UV absorbing or UV non absorbing. Your challenge is to choose a detector or combination of detectors, a maximum of 2 detectors that will provide comprehensive analysis and accurate data interpretation for this unknown mixture. For the purpose of task, create a poster of your design and content. So this is what my student received, and therefore I provided the same information to chat. Okay, in terms of tasks, so students did not see this. I just mentioned set rule 1. This is what I want. Explain these principles. So, but for my students, I mention this verbally. Okay, so I don't want to put it in writing to not block my students' creativity. Okay, but for AI, then yes, you need to give like an overview of the whole concept so that it can provide you a better marking. Okay, And then poster criteria, portrait only. So this is, again, poster criteria is for my students. Must have 3 sections: body, introduction, body, and conclusion, as I mentioned previously. Okay, and then these are the marking criteria. So number one, looking at suitable detector, check what is compound proposed by student is it suitable detector for their choice. Okay, so these are all the information that I provide to the AI, so that really understand what I'm trying to do, and so that the marks that it will give should reflect to the marks that I gave. Okay, so if I provide, if the marks given to students are normally low because it doesn't fulfill some criteria, for example, so the AI will first check, make sure that the compound is known by the AI. It's somewhere within the poster. If it's not, then automatically student will have like a low mark. If yes, one detector was proposed, 18 marks. If yes, and 2 detectors were proposed, 20 marks. Okay, so why is one detector, even though I mentioned up here you can do it as one detector? Because the molecules that I've designed can always be detected by at least two different detectors. So if my students can only grasp an idea of one detector, which is good, but I don't want to give half a mark. Okay, because the instruction clearly says that they can use one. So for me, 18 is good enough. What do you call it? You can get an A with 18 marks, right? But you cannot get an A plus. So an A plus where you can know more than what is requested by the particular question. Okay, so principles, again, data analysis. So these are all clearly given. So even quality of poster, easy and need to follow, 10 marks, easy to follow, and neat and easy to follow. To just simply follow random arrangement, blank poster will have a 0 mark. So you make it very clear so that the AI will follow exactly as how you would like to, how you normally mark your poster. Okay. So, this is just to share a little bit of how my prompts are. So, fulfill the criteria. These are this criteria, level 2 assessment, how should we do it? If it level 2 assessment, whether the report is half mark or full mark. So, this is based on structure that we have in my own program. I will submit assessment. You will extract information about student ID, metro ID. Okay, so these are all the automation things that I've asked the AI to do, so that towards the end of the day, it can provide me a list of student ID and what are the proposed marks. Okay, so that's the end goal. Otherwise, you can mark it, you can give a mark, but towards the end of the day, if you want to refer it back, like whose mark is this, and then you need to spend time to actually view it, find one by one. So if you do it this way, then at least it will provide you the basic information that is necessary. Okay, and then provide general comments. It must be simple and easily understandable. Use negative comment to justify lower marks. Okay, so negative comments over here is not a verbal abuse, but rather to say that this is lacking, that is lacking, so something like that. Of course, it can still be fine-tuned, but so far, based on what I've used, based on this particular marking, I find it like it's reasonable. And if I was sampling some of the assessment, I do agree with the marks that is given by this particular tool, okay, by this particular prompt. Um, Always compare all submission documents. The better scientifically written document should have a higher mark, although rubric is followed. Okay, again, this is for me to make sure the excellent, extra good students will have extra excellent, extra good marks. Because to the end of the day, in we always want to have a binomial distribution, meaning that even if all my students qualify for 100, just following the rubric, then I will not give 100, even if they are all good students. So we give extra good students um, allowed to receive an A, but they are not allowed. Not to say they're not allowed, but if they are more outstanding student, then the most outstanding will get A plus, while the rest good students will get an A, and the less good ones might get an A minus. depending on the difficulty. Okay, if everybody got a full mark, we will look into this particular category. Okay. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. It's not a question. You're welcome. Okay. We have about half an hour to go, or I still have a lot of more things to go through. Special instruction for laboratory reports. Okay, so this is again special instruction for laboratory report. And this is something that I'm still currently building. It doesn't give me the best marks that I normally give to my students. So this is just my trial for last semester, trying to see if I do this, if I do that, whether it will give me a better mark or not. But so far, this is close enough, even though it doesn't really fit to my marking. So what I do is for this lab report, normally when I receive a mark, I always view one by one. Okay, I still need to view one by one, but at least based on this particular instruction, it already give me things that I need to view. Okay, so the general comments is there. The negative comment is also there. So what I do is basically I compare each category. So category number one, introduction. So detector, it should be two detectors versus one or versus zero, whether the detector is compatible or not. So, and I will view the feedback that is given by this AI. It says that only one detector is being given. So I'll go and open and make sure that it is actually one. If it's one, then yeah, I agree to the marks. If it actually give two, but AI says one, then I will override the mark. So that's how I mark. At least it gives me a faster section where I need to focus on a bit more in comparison to if I were to read everything from scratch again and again. Okay. All right. So this is just an example, a quick view. You can actually create this if you do have ChatGPT. And even if you have Gemini, you can actually create this. This is actually part of number 4 of the slide, but we will move into it later on. Okay, so I'll move a bit faster. So next one is AI for question bank. So just now, was it Dr. Tika? Was it someone mentioned that they
Dr. Izzati.
Dr. Izzati mentioned that they used ChatGPT to create an automation. I'm not sure. Have you shared within your community about how to actually use chatbot, Dr. Irawani? Yeah. Yes or no?
I don't think so, Doctor.
Okay.
No.
All right. So if that's the case, I might just quickly show it to you on how you can actually populate your question bank very, very easily using an AI. Okay. Of course, there's always a fine tuning that you need to do. But what I'm going to show you is a very, very quick session, because I'm not sure if I do show every detail, you might not have full time. Now, so the easiest way to do is let me talk about the goal. So in when I'm teaching this to all my other colleagues, the idea is for us to create a tutorial for our students to try, okay, if they want to test their knowledge. But these tutorials are all free of any marks, meaning that it's a free tutorial. If they would like to test their knowledge, then they can. And the idea is if in one semester we have 14 weeks of lectures, right? So before this, what we normally do is we'll combine like lecture 1, 2, or 3, and then we have a quiz. And then 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then we have another quiz, right? So what student does is basically they come to class, listen to your talk, maybe have some engagement, and they will just go home and they will just forget about it, right? So the idea of having this particular tool is for us to populate as much question as possible into our Moodle, and we can create a tutorial for each lecture. So instead of our students will have a tutorial every after 3 or 4 lectures, we can now create a specific tutorial or Q&A MCQ for each lecture. Okay, so say for example, I will say based on the PDF file provided, create a 30 MCQ questions with 4 answers, and then provide the correct answer. Okay, so let me just find a PDF file. Teaching, I'll just randomly choose my class, lecture notes, any PDF over here. Okay, here you go. Okay, so this is just one example, very basic example. So what you, of course, you can always fine tune this. Okay, you can add in, for example, your CLO, cost synopsis, okay, which are missing in our trial now, because I cannot find it. I can find it, but it will take time. So, but the idea is, if you want to create this tutorial, you need to make sure that the knowledge or the question that is being given is justified. Okay, so having a CLO and taxonomy will help this AI to create the question based on what are the requirements of this particular course. Okay, of course, you can always create an MCQ without these two or these three information. Okay, but the output that you will get might not be as what you are expecting. Okay, but for simplicity, I'm just going to exclude CLO, I'm going to exclude taxonomy, I'm going to exclude cost synopsis. But again, it's very best if you do have this particular information, if you were to do what I'm going to teach you after this. Okay, so this is your lecture. So imagine that if you have 14 lectures, then you can provide the 14 lectures PDF to the tools so that it will create it for you. So based on the PDF provided, create 30 MCQ question with 4 answers, provide the correct answer. Okay, so ChatGPT, or you can do the same thing for Gemini, you can use Quen, you can use DeepSeek, you can use any different tools. Okay, the output will still be the same. So this is what you get. You get section A, introduction. You have all the information. You can see the highlighted ones as the answer. Okay, because you're requesting for an answer, provide the answer, right? So what you do as a lecturer, as a subject matter expert, is for you to view each question one by one. Okay, view it, make sure it's logical, make sure it's factual, make sure it is correct before you can actually move to the next step. But for simplicity, I'm not going to go through that. But in your case, once you built it, make sure you go through it. Okay, make sure you can see that each topic is exactly as how you portrayed it. And if you were to reflect back on your own teaching and learning, you can say that, okay, this is correct. Okay. Well, it's not very, a student will be able to see the question correct and incorrect immediately after completing. Yep, exactly. Okay, so rote exactly is very good. So that's the option that I'm also encouraging more and more lecturers, whether it's inside UM or outside UM to do. Okay, so you have all of these questions, and then as what Dr. Izzati also mentioned just now, so you can just convert to icon format. Okay, so there are multiple formats that you can actually use, but icon format is one of the formats that can be read by Moodle. And therefore, when you have something like this, okay, so again, this is creating 30 questions, right? So you just copy, it doesn't matter whether they ask you to provide TXT file. Sometimes the format that ChatGPT gave is not doesn't fit to Moodle, so it doesn't read it properly. So what you do is you just copy the questions with this icon format. So just open Word document. Okay, take a blank file, you paste it, so you can see the questions are within the format that we set just now. So just go save as, and then for Windows, it's very easy. So for Windows, once you copy and paste, you'll just go and save as text file. Okay, but for Mac, you need to choose number one, text file. So let me go and do, this is desktop, this one is test. Okay, and then it's already there. So you just replace it. And then for Mac, you need to change the encoding to UTF-8. So this is very important. Otherwise, you will not be able to upload it back into Moodle. But for Windows, normally it's okay. It's already preset. But for Mac, you need to do this. Okay, so UTF-8, okay. Then you will see on the desktop, it's the same question over here about medicinal chemistry, and there should be like about 30 questions. Okay, so what you do next is you move to your Moodle. Okay, so imagine that this is the question we've just created just now. Go to question bank. Okay, move from question to import. This is why we say icon format just now. Just go to icon format. Of course, you can create categories. Maybe we'll just do this since I mentioned about it. Okay, so you can create categories first. And what this category do is basically for you to do 14 weeks, for example. So you can create a question bank for each week. So you will have 14 weeks of categories. So you create week 1, and for the sake of time, I'll just create 2 weeks. Okay, so 2 categories over here, and then move back to import. Okay, and the general, you can change from default into week 1 because this quiz question is for week 1, and then go back and import it. Okay, upload, import. Oops, I didn't press icon. Test again, upload. All right. So week 1, icon format, import. Okay. So basically now you'll be able to import straight away 30 questions that you've created very, very easily. So instead of, typing one by one, choosing what are the correct answers, now you have everything done and ready within your question bank. Okay. And the best thing is because this question bank, number one, you can create the question very, very easily. Number two, not easy, so to say, but fast. And then you can create categories, which is weeks, and therefore within your class later on, you can actually do like a tutorial week 1, and then once it finish week 2, so you can create just tutorial week 2, and finally you'll get a tutorial for all 14 weeks after your lecture. Okay, so over here, again, if you have not used any quiz feature before, so you can, because we have created our question within a question bank, so you can just say from question bank, so categories over here, we just move to week 1 because we put into week 1, apply filter, then you'll see all your questions over here. Okay, so you can just select everything by just clicking this particular button, and then add selected question, then you have all questions over here. Okay, now it's only 21 because just now it only shows 21 and not 30 because we have second page where you need to add another batch. So to another day, oh, there's a similar question somewhere. KPD, MD. Okay, so there's one similar question. Oh, test question is there. So that's why we have 21. Okay, because otherwise we'll have 30 questions from our 30 data bank. Okay, 30 questions from a data bank. Now, this is one way to do it. But the second way is where I mentioned when we do an online. So this is tutorial, so it's totally fine. But say, for example, you would like to make this quiz as a pure assessment, and you want to do it as a take-home assessment. One thing that we need to think about is that student normally gathers around together and then work on it together. So what they will do is basically they'll have like maybe 3 or 4 people sitting down together. Everybody's trying to solve the quiz simultaneously at the same time. So one person will say, I'll do question number 1, you number 2, you number 3, you number 4, and then we'll just rotate the answers, right? So that may happen. So of course, we do have a shuffle up options over here. We do have shuffle options within our quiz as well. But what you can also do is you can also add a random question. Okay, and then you select from question bank, apply filter, and then down here you can say like currently we only have a limited to 30 questions. But what if you were to create 100 question? and then each student needs to answer like 20 questions. So you can just go down and say 20 questions out of the 100 at random question. And what will happen is your students, so each students will have random question that you've already preset based on the required CLOs and whatnot. Of course, if you would like to create to be like very, very just so that all students will get the same number of CLO1, same number of CLO2, same number of CLO3, you can always go back to the categories, and you can create based on category CLO1, CLO2, CLO3, and so on. So what would happen is you can add in randomly CLO1, 10 questions, CLO2, 10 questions, CLO3, 5 questions. So each time when your students try to take the quiz, take the assessment, even if they are sitting down together next adjacent to one another, it's a bit difficult for them to just, go and ask what's the answer for question number one and number two. Okay. So these are the things that we can do a little bit with the help of AI tool to try and deter students from not doing what we don't allow them to do. Okay. So yeah, and this is what something that I'm doing as well. But of course, once our student knows about AI, they might install some AI tools inside their computer, and they're doing it instead of discussing with their friends, and now they're discussing with AI. Okay, so that might also happen. Therefore, you can play cat and mouse, trying to develop a technology to override that, but then the student will come up with a different way of doing things. And therefore, my suggestion is we can still do a digital quiz. But if you're wary about student cheating, you can always ask them, come into class, bring your laptop, we'll do everything online, but in class. Okay, so that's the ultimate where student cannot do anything because you'll be in the class as well, and you'll be observing them, and therefore, yeah, that's the best thing that I can do. Okay, all right. So in terms of feedback, so just now you were saying about feedback, right? So over here, there's no feedback. Have you tried asking ChatGPT about feedback? Because that is what I like to do sometimes. Um, how can I generate custom feedback for each question? Okay, let's see if it provides us with any specific answer. Okay, because I can format, so not directly supported. However, there are three practical approach that you can do it. Okay, so Moodle GIF format, you can do that. So there you go. Okay, so these are the things that you can do. So Dr. Izati, we can change from icon format to using a GIF format. Then you can get the feedback specifically for each answer. And again, what you need to do is just compile this into one file, and then you upload it again through the same methods that I've showed just now, and you'll get now a feedback that what you want. Okay, so hopefully that answers your question. All right, so we have 10 more minutes. I think I'll skip some of that. So the second thing that I would like to, or the third thing that I would like to talk about is doing a custom tutor. So the custom tutor is basically to replace yourself when you are not around. And again, this is using the same feature for a paid version. We call it as GPTs. Okay, so if you have a paid version in ChatGPT, you can click on GPT Explore. You can go to create button over here. Okay, and then you will see this particular tools or screen. But if you are kind of like, looking at this, you'll be like, oh wow, what do I need to do? There's so many things that I need to fill in. Okay, so you might be a bit wary about, I don't want to do this. But instead, what you should be doing is you just go to this create button, and this is where OpenAI have created a prompting session whereby if you do have your own portfolio files, for example, your portfolio files, your examples of your theses, examples of your literature, examples of your books, for example, you can just put in all the informations over here and then say, this GPT is to replace myself as a replace myself. I am a lecturer. I would want this GPT to be, or I mean, you can do something similar to this particular prompt to be um, a tutor assistant for my students when I am not around. Okay, so rules, and then you can put in never provide direct answers to my students. Always ask back what they understand about the topic and lead them to the correct answer or fact. Okay, so this is what we always want. We want an AI to help students to learn and not an AI to provide answers, right? So you can create this assistant or your digital self and always have this particular sentence or similar sentence as one of the rules. Okay, you don't want your students to just go and ask questions and get an answer straight away. But what you want is you want them to use this particular tool to help them to learn. Therefore, what we need is like when a student comes to you, you always ask them back, what do you understand about this topic? What's the issue? Tell me what you understand first, then I'll see whether you got it correct or you are actually close but not there yet. Okay, so that's what we normally do as a human when we talk to our students. So try and mimic it. Of course, this is a simple sentence. My own promise is longer, but this is something that we can use. Okay, and then rule number 2, because we have provided our thesis, our all our basic information, you can say the PDF files supplied are about myself. Okay, myself, read through it and summarize on how I speak slash write slash I mean speak or write is fine. Okay, how I read or write. Okay, so this is to give the use this as your persona. Okay, so this is to give the AI a bit of your own self so that it have your persona and not just simply becoming someone else, right? So that's the idea. Okay, let me see this quickly. So that one is that one is that. Meeting schedule is about to end. All right.
Okay,
Okay,
note taker.
note taker. Okay, so and then what else do I normally give? So I give this, I give that. I mean, these are the basic ones. You can always custom and create more detail. And then once you press enter, what ChatGPT will do is basically will create, of course, because I didn't provide any PDF, so it will ask for a PDF. But if you did provide your PDF, then it will create this persona for you. And then once you have the persona, so what you do is you can create this, click on the create button, and what you'll get is you'll get something like, let me find my own persona. Oops, my internet is a bit slow. Okay, but you have a share link over there. Okay, a share button. Oh, there you go. So I have this, for example, as my own persona. Okay, so I put it there when Dr. Hadi is not available. I'm here always. So this is my own persona. And what you can do is you can just copy the link, okay, and move back to your class. Where was it? Okay, so for this class, and then you can just add a URL. Okay, so this is the basic ones. Alternate Hadi. Okay, for example. So you have that button. So what you do is you tell your students, like, you've created this alternate persona. And if you do have any questions, I mean, tell your students, if you have any questions while you are learning, um, at midnight, at 2 o'clock, at 3 o'clock, and you have some question, of course, if you text me, I will not reply because I'll be sleeping. So what you do is you go and click on this persona, okay, and you will go into the persona that I've created, and you talk to the persona first. If the persona will not help you in whatever issues you are trying to learn, then next morning you go and text me, so I'll gladly reply to whatever you want to ask. Okay, so this is how I do it. Of course, there's a bit of extra things that you can do to make things more fun. For example, instead of having a link like this, okay, so you can have like a floating button down here at the top bottom right. So say, for example, I'm not sure whether our system is back on or not. Okay, something like this. So this is I created without changing um, any back end scripting. So there's no scripting involved. I did not change any Moodle code, but rather I use a layer of what we call as iframe. And what will happen is within my course, let me see which course that I've taught last sem that I've not turned it off. Oh, I think this one. Okay, so this is my other course. Then what you'll see is you will see this tutor AI floating around. So this is a tool that we've developed to replace this. So this is the first generation. This is second generation. The first generation is when student can click on this, and then it will open up again my tutor that I've created. So you guys can develop something similar as well while waiting for the university to develop something like this, which is uh, same concept but embedded within your Moodle account. Okay, your Moodle page. All right, so I have one more.
Doctor, if I
Yes.
can ask, so students who don't have to purchase, I mean to subscribe to ChatGPT to be in that what
Correct. Yes.
uh, uh,
So this one, I mean,
mm,
for the
that one yes, the light blue one, light blue. No, I
light blue,
mean
this one, no. So what
oh
student needs is they only need to have a ChatGPT account. A free
mm,
account is fine. So
okay.
this is a very good option for us because now you can just tell your students you can just register for a free account. You don't need to have a paid account. So the paid account comes from you as a lecturer. So as long as you have a paid account, you can actually create this like link button, which is more viewable compared to if you put like a link in between your own course profile, right? So you have this, it's floating around. So it's very catchy. Student will definitely grab it and use it. And that's what I found. And so far, once I created this, at least last semester, closing to the exam period normally is when students communicate with you a lot. Having this chatbot, I actually received a massive reduction in student contacting me asking about certain topics. So yeah, I think it's helpful. In terms of students using an AI while learning compared to not using it while learning, I don't see any major shift in terms of my students' grade. So personally, I think this is fine to use. But I mean, to the end of the day, it's up to the user whether you like AI, you want to integrate it or not. Okay. I think this is the final example. We actually have a quiz, but it's already 12. And I'm not sure how many of us left. Oh, there's still 100, which is good. I don't know. Do you want to continue with this or just carry on?
We can continue, Doctor. It's okay.
We can continue. Okay.
Uh-uh.
All right. So if that's the case, can I have everybody to just quickly answer this very, very short ones? I think this for this one is the 3 questions. Let me see. Okay, yep. So very, very 3 question. It's just to get your point of view in terms of based on what I've discussed or shared so far, how do you find the information? Whether it's something that you think, it's very good, so you want to apply in your own course, or you might want to do things differently. So this is basically the QR. If you can just quickly just do it, because we are uh I mean, this is almost ending. So to say, I have another activity session, but I think that one will take more time for us to discuss. So perhaps I'll skip that one and just finish up with all the materials that I prepared. Uh, okay. All right. So let's look at the feedback. Oops. Any feedback yet? So maybe I need to refresh this. Let's go and reload. Okay, so we have 10. So which tool have you used? So you have used auto grading, which is good. Okay, but again, be wary, because auto grading always comes with an ethical challenge. So that's why I said I don't want to talk about ethics, because otherwise there will be a lot of issues that can come from auto grading itself. Assisted grading is very good. I think it's much better to use or auto grading just purely based on feedback. So it's totally fine. But if you do an auto grading based on fully on AI, that is when the ethical consideration comes into play. But if you're using it for assisted grading, I think it's fine. But again, it's up to individuals. Assessment creation is also something that I think I highly encourage everyone to do, because it's not that difficult to do it. We all have access to our own AI, and again, don't worry about you're not having a plus account in ChatGPT, because you can create in terms of assessment creation. You can use any AI. Okay, either you use the major ones. You have Copilot, you have ChatGPT, Gemini. You can use Quen, you can use DeepSeek. If you have your own PC that can run AI, so you can use it as well. So yeah, there's a lot of tools that you can actually use just for simplicity and to help our students to learn better, right? So why not? um, Custom tutor you have used, great. So if you have not embedded it, then maybe that's what you can actually do. Just embed it into your own spectrum page, or your own LMS page, so that it will help students engage with it better. So if you have not used any, which one would you like to try first? Auto grading. Okay, so there's 3 responses on auto grading, assisted grading. Okay, so auto grading seems like the feature that you would like to use, which is good. What will you do differently? AI assistants. There's only one. There's 14 answers, or maybe let's see. Um, so AI assistant is the third one just now. Wait, now there's no response. Still AI assistant and still one. I'm not sure why, but it should have like more than one answer. Let's see. Is it showing? Is it showing? It's not showing. That's fine. So hopefully everyone learns a thing or two, and perhaps a bit more open now on what you can actually use. All right. So going for our last part, build or slash the application. So towards the other day, the tools that I've shown previously are just a small example of what so many different tools that are out there. And those tools that are already out there are excluding the tools that can be developed within OpenAI agent generation that they just launched last week or 2 weeks ago. Okay, so I envisage that within the next few months, the number of tools that we can use as an educator will grow exponentially. So there might be tools that are not there yet, but because of OpenAI doing this, we can actually develop it very, very easily. And myself, I'm also exploring in that particular lane. Hopefully, it will benefit at least even if it's not the whole Malaysian community, at least it will go towards UM and definitely to myself as also an educator. Okay, so based on the tools, towards the end of the day, you can match it to what you want, match it to concept, to master certain things for scientific reasoning in terms of teaching and learning, as well as for scientific research. Okay, so when we are talking about academics, at least in UM, we normally segregate these two things, academic and research. But in reality, what you can do within academic, you can also do replicate the same thing for research. So that's why scientific reasoning is part of the things that you can do. And finally, even for lab or for design assignments, what do you call it? They call it studio. So you can actually do this. You do a checklist, a support. You can organize reflection for your students. You can customize it, make it more personal, and yeah, I mean, the personalization is not on the basic. I would say that one will be level 2, where you can actually do a more specific feedback catered for specific for your students, which we will not cover in this particular session. Okay, so I actually had prepared this. It's more on hands-on, and the idea is for us to kind of like explore things together, not just me, but also getting feedback in bilateral engagement. But for the sake of time, so I'm just gonna skip this. Okay, so this is more on engagement, because what I'm showing you just now are mostly on based on what I have done and my field as a research field. This idea is to look into both section, the social science and the pure science as well. Okay, but we will just skip on that and just finish up the slides in a few more minutes. Okay, so in terms of implementation, what you need to do now is perhaps you need to redesign your assessment. Okay, you need to think about, because you can do this, your students can also do it. Some of our students can also pay for ChatGPT. If you are not paying, then your students are actually paying. So tools that I'm showing it to you, students can do it as well. They might be more interested in the tools, they might explore it better. And of course, to the end of the day, they might also abuse it. So knowing that what you can do, you need to think about also what students can do, and think about teaching ethical considerations, ethical principles, academic integrity to your own students. Okay, and tools, again, there's a lot of software, a lot of tools, a lot of web tools. You can even create your own tools now. Having an integrated plan is very, very important if you would like to move things further, whether it's for yourself, your department, your faculty, or perhaps for the whole university. Okay, and lastly, summary and consideration. This is the only slide about ethics. So you need to make sure that everything is balanced. Okay, you need to balance integrity, your academic integrity, balance the accessibility, because again, the tools are, there's so many tools out there. So that's why I'm showing you just ChatGPT, because everybody can just um, subscribe it, or sign in for free. They can just register for free. And for you, as long as you are the paid user, you can create your custom chats and whatnot, provide it to your students so that everybody have equal access to the chat, and not just simply certain groups of students. Okay, and lastly, about privacy. So make sure any data that you upload, as best as you can, remove your student's name, remove student ID is even though it's still rasmi, but I mean, it doesn't really identify individual students, but name does. Therefore, we are not sure how this AI provider will use our data. And especially if you are using Copilot, Microsoft is well known to use all the data that you provided. If you use Meta is what, Llama tools, Meta tools. Okay, also please be wary about privacy, because Meta also have been known, even though they put in terms and condition, they are not using your data, they are actually using it, and they are actually being sued because of that. If you have this is just outside from TNL, just to share. If you are using Facebook in your phone, okay, you need to make sure you look into the privacy and block Facebook from accessing your photos, because last year Facebook was caught in uploading all your photos into their portal even without you allowing them to do it. Okay, so this is what I mean by consideration about privacy. So these companies, they are providing service not for free but for money. Therefore, use it cautiously. And if you think that you don't want to use any of the other tools, yes, there are a lot of other tools that can provide it for free. For example, this is this is ChatGPT, right? But there are also tools. This is just an extra, okay, called Olama. Okay, so you can just Google Olama or just go to olama.com. So this tool is basically an AI tool that you can run on your PC for free on your computer. It's my Olama. Oh, it's up here. Okay. So this Olama is a free tool that runs locally in your own laptop. So if you are wary about privacy, you think that, some things you don't want to share at all. For example, if you want to write a resignation letter, for example, okay, you don't want to, tell to the world that you are actually writing it. So you might want to download this and run it on your own device. For if you're using Android phone, I can't remember on top of my head. Google have developed like an application that runs AI locally inside your phone. So again, these are all the tools that basically really prevents or give biggest consideration in terms of privacy. Okay, so finally from me, please uphold academic integrity standards, regardless of whether you are lecturers, especially because you are lecturers. But for students, do encourage them to uphold academic integrity. Ensure all learners can participate, equal access to everyone. So any tools that you would like to use in your TNL, please do consider that, we do have B40 students amongst the students that, they might not have enough fund to actually use that particular tool. And finally, make sure you protect all the students' data and privacy, your own privacy data, and of course, the other day, your university's data. Okay. And I think this is last slide for me. To become a master, yang padawan. Of course, it's very difficult. And to quote OpenAI CEO in the last few days, he mentioned that we are in AI bubble. We just don't feel it. Okay, so this is a concept of a bubble where the technology and everything is growing. So we are actually in this particular phase. So last for me, never stop exploring. There are more tools being developed, and therefore, you yourself should not stop growing. Even though you know one tool, ChatGPT, for example, never stop growing in learning what ChatGPT can do and what the other tools out there can actually help you in your teaching and learning. Okay, so that's all for me. Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for listening. Hopefully, you can scan this QR code. This QR code will link you to this particular slide. Okay, so even if for those who have left early, you can always go back to this QR code and download the file, the slides for your own reference. So that's all from me. Thank you. This is my email, my background under and my WhatsApp if you would like to, talk a bit more detail about AI and whatnot. Okay, that's all. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hadi. I think we have so much more to learn, but the time is really envious, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's very timely that now we are actually in the second week, so we are preparing our assessment and whatnot. So it's good. It's very timely that we learn this today. Alhamdulillah. So any question, last questions from the audience? Any question? If not, then we can just wrap up everything. Thank you everyone for participating actively. Jazakumullah khair. Thank you so much, Dr. Hadi. We have learned a lot. Alhamdulillah. I'm also excited to try now, especially on the GPT.
Good.
Okay. Maybe before we take group photo, we end the class, we end the session today with Tasbih Kafarah wa Suratul Asr. We will share the slide later, yeah. So maybe we can turn on uh, our camera to take group photo. Sister Uzma boleh tolong ambil ya?
Boleh.
Okay, ada lagi ke? Anyone else want to turn on your camera? Okay, ada dah. Ada lagi. Ada lagi. Okay. Okay, so maybe first page ya. 1, 2,
3.
3. Okay. Okay, Uzma. Second.
Okay. Second one.
Dah.
The last one. The last one.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Alhamdulillah. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Hadi. So till next time, insyaAllah, we have learned a lot. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye.
Doctor.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Hadi. Dah keluar. Okay.